With Dr. Clark's personal encouragement, the clear guidelines given in her books, and the positive results we have experienced so far, we are hoping, praying for, and continuing to work toward a complete recovery. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Clark.
I've just got to jump up and say something. I think this is the first time in human history that a person who has not been trained as an MD or any other kind of witch doctor or a health practitioner did it herself. And she has the right questions, you see. That's most important. She has a good grasp of her condition, and she has the right questions. And that's all it takes to get to the right answers. So you'll get there.
I have not met Dr. Clark. A year ago, I heard about her book. I have been very ill for many years, at least 15 years and perhaps even longer. We think we are healthy, and we're really not healthy. But when we get really sick, then we realize we're sick. However, I tried everything. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, candidiasis, environmental illness, allergies of all kinds, universal allergies. I was at my wit's end. I tried everything, spent a fortune, I would say about close to $40,000. At some point or another, I would feel better, whatever I was doing. I had, previous to that, I had tried the conventional medicine, being a nurse myself. I certainly did not believe in natural medicine. I thought it was all quackery. But I was forced to open my mind and take a look at the natural medicine. And try different things. It did help, but it would not keep me well. I would go back down again. Until I heard about your book, Dr. Clark, a year ago, November of last year. And once I read it, I read the two first books, The Cure of All Cancers and AIDS and HIV. And to me, it made a lot of sense. And I decided to start on the parasite cleanse. I did know that I had parasites. I was tested in Toronto by a physician who had himself chronic fatigue syndrome at one time. And he had told me I was full of parasites. But his medication never helped. When I took the herbs, I had some die-off reactions. It definitely helped. I didn't feel like I was dying anymore. I was so toxic prior to that my veins would be 4 times their normal size and black. And I was down to 98 pounds. Every step was an effort. After I took the parasite cleanse, this toxicity, the feeling of being toxic improved tremendously. But there was still a problem. I had reached the top and I couldn't go any further. Then I thought, well, we'll look at the next step. And it was the mercury amalgam fillings in my mouth, which I had removed. And I took the thioctic acid to help to remove the heavy metals in my body. I went through hell for 6 months. But I still had, I was much better. There was another improvement, but I could see there was something else. So I did the kidney cleanse. I did not notice any difference after the kidney cleanse. And then I thought, I've got to make this another step, and perhaps Dr. Clark is right. Perhaps my liver is a problem because I still had the environmental sensitivities. And about a month and a half ago, I started with the liver cleanse. And so far, I have done it 4 times. The first time I did not pass anything except the shaft that you're talking about, which is the crystals. I did notice quite a lot of this, but no stones. The second time, I passed 75 liver stones. I could not believe my eyes because I had had an ultrasound and everything was okay. They were all floating like peas in a toilet bowl. And I was so determined that I would make my physicians understand that what I was doing was working and what they did not work for me, that I put some gloves on and I went fishing. Unfortunately, I thought I could keep them, and I just put them in a drawer, looked at them a few times, and I thought, I've got to make an appointment and show this to my physician. The next time, a week later, I went and looked, and they were all dissolved into bile. Although I realized that this was only the first liver cleanse, and most likely I had more because I was still very sensitive to chemicals. And I am now at my 4th liver cleanse, and so far I have passed 228 liver stones. I am still sensitive to perfume, and perhaps there's a cue here. Please, if you wear perfume, just think of what you're doing. I was wearing perfume at one time. Didn't even realize how toxic it was for me. It is extremely toxic. And just think about it. And I want to thank Dr. Clark, and this time I was a little wiser. I did keep the stones, and I put them in the freezer, and I still have them. I don't know if there's any other way of keeping them, but this is the way I'm doing now until I see my physician. Thank you so much.
That's a great story. I don't know of any way to keep them either except in the freezer, dry. I used to have 2 refrigerators and freezers full of everybody's. So I learned a lot about them, the inside of them and so on. But as you can see, it's an exciting thing to do to make yourself well, and I'm just thrilled to pieces that you're here with that in mind. So thanks for sharing that story.
Fabulous, isn't it? Must feel a lot lighter. That's a lot of stones.
I would like to tell you that if you think the young lady who described the bile duct cancer was exaggerating in any way what she was telling you about her father, I can assure you she was telling you the exact truth. I don't know her, I don't know her father, but I have guided an 86-year-old gentleman through precisely the same thing, a miraculous cure from bile duct cancer. And if you know anything about the cancer industry, and I know a little bit because I spent 3 years of my life as head of Director General of Cancer Treatment and Research in the province of Saskatchewan, and I know that they don't recover from advanced bile duct cancer. But her father did, and I was delighted to hear it. My friend is happy and healthy today. But another very interesting story I want to share with you, and I particularly want to share this with you, Dr. Clark, because it may make you feel a little happy in your heart. I have a very good friend whose last name I won't use. His first name is Bill, Dr. Bill. He, like yourself, has a PhD plus some other initials running off behind his name. And he is one of the top 20 medical researchers in the world. He travels all over the world to meetings. About 2.5 months ago, I was in the parking lot of the Safeway store, and I saw him walking across, and I hadn't seen him for some time. So I hollered at him, and I said, "Bill, get your butt over here." So he came walking over, and he's put on a lot of weight. I gave him a lecture about what he was doing to his heart and that he shouldn't do that. And then I told him that he was neglecting his medical studies because he hadn't been in touch with me, and I referred to myself as a medical professor. And I said, now I want you to go down, before you buy your groceries, to this particular store, and I want you to buy the book, The Cure for All Cancers, written by Hulda Clar. I said,